A few weeks after its initial reveal at Minecraft Live, the Happy Ghast and all of the features that came alongside that have now made their way to both Java Snapshot and Bedrock Beta and Preview. I would have liked to have this video out sooner, but it is best to hold off on feedback until we have the features in testing, and usually Mojang does release the features shown off at Minecraft Live the week afterward, but it took them a little bit longer this time for some reason, so here we are now. Today we'll be going over features that might come to the summer drop, features that should be changed or added to the summer drop, and some more. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Let me just start off by saying this video was a bit harder to make for this drop specifically. I make this type of video for pretty much every Minecraft update that I've ever covered on this channel, basically going over what might be added to the update later on, or what might be changed, or what should be changed or added. And it was a bit harder to make this time around, because say for example you take the Pale Garden drop or the Tricky Trials update, when those were first revealed there was very clearly a lot of room for improvement still. New plants to be added to the Pale Garden, new loot to be added to the trial chambers. And then the Spring to Life drop was working with a vague theme, but one that definitely really needed attention from Mojang, so there were tons of possibilities for that. This drop, so far we just know it to be mostly multiplayer themed, which is a bit of a tricky thing to come up with content for in-game. But there are some likely features for this drop that I will get into in a bit, but first I want to talk about what we have seen so far, and that is the Happy Ghast, the Ghast Lane, and the Dried Ghast. In my previous video on this update, I pointed out that one of the reasons people might have been disappointed with this latest Minecraft Live was that the Happy Ghast was revealed as just yet another feature primarily for building. Not without reason, a fair number of people disagreed, stating that there were plenty of other uses for the Happy Ghast potentially, and we hadn't had it in snapshots or previews at that time, so it was possible. But time has gone on, and pretty much every single time that Mojang has talked about or promoted or advertised the Happy Ghast, they pitch it as 1 for building, and 2 sometimes also for sightseeing or scenic travel. And if you look at it in the testing, then it's very clear why they promote it for that. It's not really an efficient mode of transportation because it is extremely slow, and also it doesn't work for any combat scenarios because ghasts are huge targets that don't have a lot of health. It's pretty clear that Mojang was mostly intending it for what they said it was good for and not much more. And honestly, I think that's Mojang really underutilizing the potential of this feature. This is the first flying mount that we have had in Minecraft. It can be more than just a tool for building. I really hope that Mojang does make some tweaks to make it, like people in my comments were saying, it might be more useful in other situations. And so we need to talk about how Mojang could maybe do that. As for speed, obviously they could just increase the speed of the Ghast a bit. Or maybe they can add some kind of item that the Ghast can be equipped with that makes it move faster. And now as for health, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if the Happy Ghast just had a bunch more health than the regular one. So maybe a solution to this could be some kind of Ghast armor, maybe just like what we had with the wolf armor. Right now, just with the regular Ghast, if like a skeleton sees you, it can pretty easily take your Ghast out. Or if you're for some reason flying it anywhere with lava, brush up against some lava and that's not going to go well at all either. And if your Ghast dies while you're on it, you're gonna be in a lot more trouble than you would be if, say, your horse died. If you don't have an item on you that you can use to catch yourself when you fall, like a water bucket or a wind charge or a boat, if you're good enough to pull that off, then you're going to be screwed. Now, with the speed and the health of the Ghast out of the way, I do briefly want to touch on the aesthetics of it, because after this amount of time with having a Minecraft update revealed, usually I'm used to it, and most people are. But I do still feel a little bit iffy about the look of the Ghast with the harness on. It's a very personal gripe, I know, but especially when it has the goggles on, I feel like the texture is just a bit too flat for something of its size. The harness and the goggles don't really pop out much at all. Which is really weird, because if you look at a lot of the modern Minecraft mobs, they tend to have much more intricate designs than the old ones. For example, of course, Mojang just updated the cow to give it some more depth with the snout. It really does seem like it's been an active effort from Mojang for these past few years to give more depth to their mobs, which makes the Happy Ghast with the harness on feel just a little bit out of place to me. I mean, even something as small as having like the goggles pop out around the rim might make it look better, but right now it does feel like a Minecraft design that was made 10 years ago. Well, maybe not 10 years ago, but you get what I'm saying. Or maybe I'm just crazy, because I guess this does sound like a bit of a weird gripe. Anyway, moving on. Aside from those previously mentioned changes to the Happy Ghast and how it works, this seems pretty much feature complete, this whole entire feature set with the Ghasts. Which is why, like I was saying earlier, this video was kind of hard to make. After all of the Happy Ghast features, we don't really know what to expect other than features focused around multiplayer. But there is one feature that would fit absolutely perfectly in this update, and that is adding vaults to other structures. I mean, there literally is not a better time for doing this. I can't even see an update other than a multiplayer one where Mojang would do this, aside from maybe an adventure update. And that's not like a huge feature like adding a whole mob or biome vote or anything like that. It's something that could probably reasonably be done within this drop. Although what Mojang would have to work out is how to integrate the vaults into other structures, because other structures don't have trial spawners for you to renewably get keys from, so they would have to figure something out, like maybe having keys be dropped by mobs. As for what structures the vaults should be added to, the most requested one has of course been the End City, or more specifically the End Ship with the Elytra. Other structures that it might be able to fit into are the Ancient City, Woodland Mansion, Nether Fortress or Bastion, just in general the larger ones, maybe even the Ocean Monument. And this could also be a chance for Mojang to improve some of the loot tables of these structures, or maybe add new unique loot for them entirely. A structure that could definitely use some improved loot is, of course, the Woodland Mansion, since it now has nothing unique after Village and Pillage. And seeing as the possibility of adding vaults to other structures has been talked about in the past, if Mojang doesn't do that this update, then I'm not sure when else they will. And now, the final thing to bring up here, the bit of a weird controversy that's been going on in the Minecraft community lately, is the fact that the dry ghast is craftable in the crafting table. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. People will bring up things like the Iron Golem and Snow Golem being player-made, but I think that's a bit different. Iron Golems are essentially machines, and they're not made in a crafting table either. You, basically assemble them physically. Snow Golems are essentially just magical snowmen, and then the Wither is a bit of a weird one because, of course, that's a boss. It's also not crafted, though. Again, you have to obtain the Wither skeleton heads and the soul sand, and then you have to manually assemble it, essentially. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff there lore-wise. Of course, with it being made of soul sand, maybe you could say that's where the life is coming from. Or maybe that's just a symbol to summon the Wither, and that's not actually the player creating it. There's any number of unknown factors there. The dried ghast is the first mob that you can make as a block in a crafting table, which is also a bit weird that it's called a block when it is essentially just the unalived body of a ghast. Or maybe it is still conscious, which might actually be worse because then it would actively be suffering. The whole thing, if you think about it, is just weird, even without it being craftable. And then it being craftable just makes it even weirder. Although there is some sense to the recipes, ghast tears in lore have been known to have regenerative properties, of course with potions of regeneration, and also the end crystals which heal the ender dragon. But they haven't been known to create new life entirely. But if we're thinking about things from a gameplay standpoint, the primary argument for having the dried ghast be craftable is that makes it more accessible to more players. And there's definitely something neat about that, but it can also be a good thing to have exclusive functional rewards to certain biomes or structures, especially when you have a biome like the Soul Sand Valley, which is considerably more dangerous than some of the other places you'll find in the Nether. So on the flip side, you could also make an argument that the dried ghast should be exclusive to Soul Sand Valleys. It's an entire interesting and also strange debate, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about it in the comments because this has a lot of mixed reactions. But anyway, that will be all for this video. Thank you for watching, really. I hope to see you in the next one, and for now, goodbye.